today. And that person is who I'm going to call upon right now to open this event and set the tone. Dr. Sophia Hosfor, please, your opening remarks. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, as we call him, LK. Truly an MC of many talents. So, esteemed ladies and gentlemen of the press, good morning. And indeed, everyone here on the panel and this high table this morning. Thank you for joining us today. As I always say, you could have been in a number of places this morning, but we consider this an auspicious occasion, just as LK has stated. We are really delighted to host you at this engagement once again after a brief spell, providing credible updates on how NLNG continues to contribute to improving lives sustainably in line with our vision. Equally significant is the opportunity to introduce our Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer to you for the first time and to facilitate this initial interaction. And I will have the privilege of sharing exactly who he is and what he means, not just to us at NLNG, but indeed to the industry in Nigeria and globally. At the heart of this engagement is a simple but important belief that credible journalism begins with access to timely, accurate, and contextual information. That is why engagements such as this are important. Our objective is not simply to present facts and figures, but to provide the context that enables a deeper understanding of our business, our contribution to Nigeria's economy, and the crucial role that natural gas plays in the country's sustainable development journey. Today's event reflects our commitment to openness, transparency, and continuous engagement with the media. It also reinforces our ambition to be a trusted partner and thought leader within Nigeria's energy industry. Excuse me. In today's fast-paced media environment, speed is important, but accuracy, balance, and context remain the foundation of credible journalism. We are therefore committed to supporting your work by improving access to this information, creating those opportunities, and facilitating first-hand experiences that enrich reporting and deepen public understanding. As Nigeria advances its decade of gas agenda and responds to the opportunities and challenges of the global energy transition, the role of the media in shaping public understanding has never been more important. We value your partnership and indeed your commitment to working with us to ensure that Nigeria's energy story is communicated with the responsibility and accuracy that it deserves. But here's the fun part. I would like to take the time to introduce Engineer Adeleye Falade. He assumed office at Nigeria LNG on the 1st of April this year, as you all very well know. He brings to Nigeria LNG 3 decades of experience in the global oil and gas industry. His extensive leadership exposure across the NLNG and petroleum value chain is unprecedented. As a seasoned energy professional, he has built a distinguished career with the Shell Group and across the NLNG value chain with leadership roles spanning upstream and midstream operations in Europe, Asia, the Middle East, Russia, and Africa. I believe that's deserving of some recognition. His expertise covers gas and petroleum operations, production optimization, engineering, operational excellence, business improvement, and change management. Imagine all that in one professional career. Over the course of a career, Mr. Faladay has held several senior technical and leadership roles within the Shell Group and its affiliated companies. Prior to his appointment as MD and CEO, Mr. Faladay served as Managing Director of Brunei LNG, a role he assumed in just April 2024, where he led one of the world's established LNG producers and oversaw strategic operational delivery in Brunei's LNG sector. Earlier in 2023, he was appointed country chair for Shell Namibia, where he provided strategic leadership for Shell's operations and stakeholder engagement in the country. This is a Nigerian taking on a strategic leadership role in places that matter in the energy industry around the world. Before these international leadership assignments, he held key senior leadership roles at NLNG. And that's why his return was a way of saying, welcome back home, sir. So we should give him a round of These roles included General Manager Production from May 2019 to June 2023. In this capacity, he was responsible for ensuring production reliability, plant performance, and operational safety across NLNG's world-class facilities on Bonny Island. For those of you who are correspondents in the energy space, you know how important those metrics are. His tenure was marked by a strong focus on operational discipline, reliability, and maintaining a robust safety culture. Earlier in his career, he served as operations manager at the NLNG between July 2015 and May 2018, overseeing plant operations and operational performance. He subsequently moved to the Netherlands as Regional Asset Management Systems Implementation Manager at Shell The Hague between May and April of 2018 to 2019. And there he led the asset management systems aimed at improving operational efficiency and reliability across Shell's global assets. Truly, he has Shell fully in his DNA, but he belongs to us now. It is my distinct pleasure to invite Engineer Adele Faladay, the Managing Director, CEO of Nigeria LNG, to deliver a brief presentation. The floor is yours, sirs.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Sophia, and good morning, gentlemen and ladies of the press. It is my honor to be here. And I think my being here adds diversity to the seat here. We used to complain the other way. If you see the optics here, you just see men and you don't see women. But I think today I'm balancing that out. Great honor to be back in the country. I've been back since 1st of April. But it feels as if I've been around for 2 years already. When I look at the volume of things that we've had to do in the last 4 months, they are the right things. They are things that plugs us back at the heart of rebuilding the country. Not sitting in government, but contributing vitally to what government needs, but also to what stakeholders need. And I'm happy and honored to be given the opportunity to lead a company like NLNG. I also sang in the choir, so that should be helpful as well. Okay, thank you. So what I will do briefly is to walk through some slides. Today is facts and figures, and I will do that, but just like Dr. Sophia said, context makes a lot of difference to how we engage with the facts and figures. So I'm going to start setting context on our journey as a company, where we are, what we have done, but then hopefully speak to where we're going. And then I will intersperse it with some of the hard facts about where we are and what we have done over the past 37 years, 37th year. These are 37th year of operation. So when we tell our stories, we tell them in blocks of 30s. Not by design, I think it's more out of reflection. So when we look back and look at our journey, we could see them in blocks of 30. The first 30 was when some shareholders came together, some investors, where declaration was made by the government looking at the volume of gas that is being flared. And an attempt was made to start a company like ours. And it took about 30 years before that company came into fruition in 1989. That was when the company was incorporated. And if you look at the shareholders that you see in there, the investors, they are different from those that we have in the next 30. In the next 30 is where we started our operation. And that 30 is 30 years of incorporation, but 20 years of operations, 20 solid years of operational excellence, which took us to 2019. And then we started asking ourselves the question at that point in time, what would the next 30 years look like? And it's obvious that that next 30 years is going to be the year of growth. First, consolidating on where we have been, but then thinking very hard about our future. So blocks of 30 years where we were trying to become, 30 years when we were incorporated, and then we went into operation, and then we're in the next phase of the 30 years where we expect significant growth. In the next slide, just to give context to where we play as a company in the value chain. In the exploration, in the oil production, gas production, there are many things that happen there, but the ones that you see colored in dark green, those are the areas where, as a company, we operate. So we don't produce the gas. That's done by companies upstream. We actually buy gas. We buy, like the power companies buy gas. We buy, like the industry buy gas. So we buy gas. And it's important to emphasize that, because many times when people think about us, they think about us as, why can't you give gas? No, we actually buy gas, and we treat that gas. We remove impurities, we liquefy it, we put them on vessels, and then they are sold around the world. Traveling on the seas, customers in Asia, customers in Middle East, in Europe, everywhere. Our ships, we have about 22 of them, and I'll talk a bit more about them. We're also involved in marketing, where we sell the gas. Our business is such that before you even take your investment decision, you need to have people that have signed that they will buy the gas. Why? Because it's pretty expensive. You want to make sure that you have a market for it before you go into that investment. And we run a plant, a plant that currently has 6 trains, 22 MTPA. Is the largest industrial complex that we have in the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. 22 dedicated ships, 21 of them that lifts LNG, and then one that does LPG. And I'll speak a little bit about that. So that gives you an idea of where we play in the entire value chain. So we buy the gas, we remove impurities, we liquefy it, we transport it, and we sell it. A bit around the facts and the figures and the statistics, just celebrating what has been not just our success, but success of Nigeria as a country. Since inception, over 6,000 cargoes delivered safely across the various continents that we have. We haven't been in all. We supply LPG to the domestic market, and I'll speak a bit about that as well. Last year was the highest volume that we ever supplied in a single year, where we supplied 500,000 ton of LPG. We started the business of supplying LPG, and LPG is cooking gas, by the way. So we started that around 2005, where we started about 70,000 ton. At that point in time, where we had 100% of the market share. Today, we've graduated to being able to supply 500,000 tons, but that's just about 33% of what the country demands. So on one side, demand continues to grow, which is good. But on the other hand, we have also increased what we are selling. We don't have 100%, but we've increased it in terms of volume. I did mention that we have 20 vessels, 21 vessels, actually 22. 20 of them dedicated for LNG, one for domestic LPG. In terms of asset base, our asset currently is valued at about $23 billion. And right from when we started, we've generated about $150 billion in revenue. We've managed to pay almost $50 billion as dividend to our shareholders. And our shareholders are four, with the federal government being the dominant shareholder, 49%. Shell, Total, and ENI are the other shareholders. Over the years, what has been received in dividend, it's about $47.2 billion. And right from when we became tax compliant, because we had a pioneer status that exempted us from tax, but right from when we became tax compliant, we've paid tax in excess of $10 billion to the federal government of Nigeria. There are other things that we pay, which are not reflected here. The gas that we buy, about 60% of what we pay for that gas goes back to the federal government because of their equity participation in the upstream companies. We pay the tertiary education tax, the value-added tax, the company income tax. Proud that we are the highest in the country that continues to do that. Over the past 5 years, company has continued to win the award as the most compliant taxpayer in the country. We get that from NRS, but even at the state level, what gets paid under the personal employee income tax as well is quite significant. So those are the hard facts, but just to give some context around it. It's not just those facts that speaks to us. In recognition of what we have done as a country, we've also been celebrated in various forms and shapes. In 2020, the company was declared the company of the decade. Many international, global awards that we have won as well. Just this month, earlier this month, we, at the Nigerian Oil and Gas event in Abuja, we won the Operational Excellence Award in the industry. And there are many and many more of such that continues to validate the standard at which we operate and the level to which we operate as a company. In terms of, maybe just to say a bit about that, our company is a company that is 100% led by Nigerians. If you look at the senior management team, they're all Nigerians. They've been Nigerians leading the company for about the past 20 years. I think I'm the 5th Nigerian that is going to lead the company. So I've had 4 other people who have led. The level below that, fully Nigerians. If you look at the company itself, about 97% are Nigerians. So when we talk about the company, we're not talking about a company that is being run by people who are not Nigerians. And that's important because it tells us what we can do as Nigerians operating in a country like ours, but operating to international standards and being able to compete globally. We have a role to play in the energy transition. When NLNG was conceived, part of the primary thought was to find a means to reduce the gas flaring and monetize it. And at that time, Nigeria was one of the highest countries flaring gas in the world. But right from the inception of NLNG, our contribution had been such that we have reduced the national flaring from about 65% to less than 20% today. Half of the gas that we get in the plant is what we call associated gas. That's gas that comes as a result of the fact that we are producing oil. This is gas that people were flaring before. In some cases, they pay penalties on it. But because we presented ourselves as a business case that is viable and able to monetize the gas that is being flared, we were able to contribute to that extent. Nigeria is a gas country. Much of the gas that we're even producing right now are not dedicated gas fields. They are gas that comes with the oil. Proven reserve is about 290 TCF for Nigeria. There's still another 600 TCF that has not been taken through the accounting process, but that exists. And people tend to think about our country as an oil country, but really we're a gas country with some oil. And I'll speak a little bit about that and why that is also significant for us as a company, but also as a country. In energy transition, we continue to also play a dominant role. I talked about the cooking gas that we supply to the domestic market. 100% of our cooking gas, right from 2022, is domesticated in Nigeria. And why do we do that? Why was that decision taken? We used to export it. But I think we came across the publication in Punch that gave us statistics that suggested that every year we have about 100,000 people that die due to smoke inhalation. Mostly women who are trying to put food on the table. And at that time, we prided ourselves in being a global company that is helping to build a better Nigeria. And we then faced the dilemma and the moral question: if you're really trying to build a better Nigeria, how do you demonstrate that? And that was when that decision was taken by our board. And so we contribute in reducing deforestation, in the reduction of biomass being used for cooking, coals being used, reducing pollution and emission in our country. And we do that by making sure that LPG becomes much more available. Gas, we have seen it to be cleaner, it's cheaper, it's affordable, it's available. And that we continue to do as part of our role in contributing to the energy transition in Nigeria. And we continue to drive that industry. We continue to contribute to it. And we're happy at the impact that it's making currently in our country. But that's not just the only thing that we do. Also in the areas where we operate, we get into partnership, if you go to the next slide, with our host community. And when Elkanah was speaking earlier on, he spoke about the complaint around you flew us into Bonny for the Bonny Bodo Road and you flew us out. I think I'd like to announce to you that when next you come, you will drive on that road. That road is completed, fully completed, 39 kilometers, 12 bridges, 3 major bridges, 9 minor bridges. But for the first time has opened Bonny to a way it has never happened before. If you want to come into Bonny, you're either flying in very few flights. It's just, I think, the company-operated flight, but most go by the sea. And there have been a lot of piracy on the seas. Even when we move our own people and products, we have to get accompanied by Navy in order to keep people safe. But you have the smaller boats that they experience a lot of turbulence and lives have been lost. So this is the biggest corporate social responsibility in value, but also in significance. And that road has been completed. We're actually waiting for the federal government to give us a date on which that road will be formally commissioned. But that's not the only news. Our board, working together with the government of Nigeria, with the Minister for Works and Housing, is now partnering together to also extend that road from Bodo down to join the east-west road. It's about 8.9 kilometers. Federal government has awarded that to Julius Berger. We're discussing how NLNG can also support in funding it under the Executive Order 7, by which we did the Bonny Bodo Road itself. And that changes the ecosystem on that island. People can move freely. Goods and services can move. The dynamics has changed completely. and we're happy to be part of that. I mean, that's also a tip of the iceberg of what company has done. If you get to Bonny today, it's perhaps the only place where you have 24/7 electricity, because we have invested in supplying power to the community from the power that we generate in our plant. And we continue to do a lot more. When we conceived this at inception, it was expected that it was going to cost about 120 billion. At completion, we spent double that. But the good news is that that road is open, that road is being used. I've traveled on it myself, and it makes a lot of difference. Let me talk a bit about our growth. I think the immediate growth that we have is our Train 7 project, and you most likely would have heard about it. Happy to announce that work is progressing well on it, and our intention at this point in time is to complete that project safely and to complete it to specification. The completion of the Train 7 is going to increase our LNG capacity by 35%. It will take us from 22 MTPA to 30 MTPA. But it will also increase our LPG production by 50%. So today, last year we did 500,000. By the time we have Train 7 fully on stream, we will be able to get an additional 250,000 tons of LPG that still comes into the market. And it's one that we're looking forward to. Today, we have close to 16,000 people that work every day at that site, trying to make sure that we complete it safely. Earlier on, I talked about the fact that we are a gas country. We're not an oil country, we're a gas country. And saying that we're a gas country in itself doesn't count. It's not just what we have, it is what we do with it. And when you look at other countries, look at their reservoirs, look at what has been proven compared to the capacity that they have, we're just scratching the surface of our potential. So if you see on that slide, Australia, that has proven reserve of about 128 TCF, has a capacity of about 88 MTPA. Malaysia, that is just 97. Don't forget, we are 209 proven, plus another 600 that is yet to be proven. Malaysia has capacity today that is even more than us. Indonesia, same thing. I don't even want to go to Qatar. But then you look at us, 209 TCF and just 22 MTPA. So at that point in time, it became obvious to us that we needed to be more ambitious about our growth. That was when Train 7 came on stream, and we felt that Train 7 was a response to our ambition. But by the time we finished Train 7 and Train 7 started moving on, going into construction, it became obvious that we needed to redefine the level of our ambition. So today, we've started having initial conversations and doing exploratory activities around what will it take to grow to Train 8, Train 9, Train 10, what would that take in order for us to be able to achieve that? Still very much at the embryonic stage, but it's one that company is already having conversations around, and we're defining what will be required for us to be able to grow beyond Train 7. So we do have a growth agenda. And as we look at the next slide, I think the key point for us is while the world has moved away from sources of energy that are very dirty, and the biggest culprit is coal, it is not because coal has disappeared. In Enugu today, we still have massive deposits of coal. So it's not just enough for us to say we have abundant gas resource. It is what we do with that gas. We will get to a point where maybe the next item to get off the table in terms of its relevance will be gas. And while we will still claim that we have abundant gas reserves, opportunity for us to monetize it, perhaps we have lost it. And that's not lost on us. So there is a window within which we must also take advantage of the resources that God has given to us. What all of that does is that it ties into our own growth agenda. While the world is transiting in the energy space and moving from dirty energy sources to cleaner one, what has been established is that gas is still extremely dominant in the energy mix. Just for today, not just in 10, 20, 30, up to the next 40, 50 years, gas will still be dominant. But we can't assume that that window will be open for a long period of time. So as a company, just for ourselves, but also influencing what happens in the country, we're pushing the advocacy for the use of gas, for the utilization of gas, for the maximization of gas. Is one that we will continue to leverage, is one that we will lean into, but it's one that we're also going to encourage the country and other stakeholders to get involved in. Now, gas is not just only useful for LNG, where we are into, and LPG. It has a lot of application also in the petrochemical industry. So whether it's the fertilizer industries, whether it's cosmetics, the key ingredient is gas. In transportation is gas. We've started having compressed natural gas buses. We're having hybrid vehicles right now that are moving on gas. And what all of that is doing is allowing us to be able to maximize that potential that God has given us as a country. And at the heart of it, we'd like you to remember that NLNG is playing a big role. So as I bring this to an end, what is the message? We have to unleash our gas potential as a company, but also as a country. People talk about us and what we have been doing, and we acknowledge it. But we think that journey has just started. And as we continue on our own journey of becoming, getting bigger, taking advantage of this for every of the stakeholders involved, we're looking forward to a brighter future that we will not just talk about 30 MTPA, but will go significantly beyond that. As at about 3-4 years ago, NLNG had 6% of the global market share for LNG. 6% of what is being produced globally comes from NLNG. I think today we are down to 5%. There are other countries that are growing. If we don't do anything, we'll go down to 3%, we'll go down to 2%. But that's not our dream. Our dream is that we'll continue to stay relevant, even in the global space. So thank you very much for listening. I'm hoping to entertain any comment, any question, any reflection that you have. Thank you very much.
A round of applause for the MD and CEO of Nigeria LNG Limited. Sir, we have not reached that side now. We're seeing hands up already. Let me speak a little bit so that I can, usher you into that point. I know you're excited, and I know this is an interesting time for you, moment to sit face to face and engage the managing director of Nigeria LNG. He's made some key important points. He's talked about Bonny-Bodo Road, which of course is now complete. You can drive all the way from Port Harcourt to Bonny-Bodo to Bonny, and even now made better with the extension that is going on from Bodo to East-West Road in Port Harcourt City. He's spoken about Train 7, and he said a lot of things about operational excellence. We still remain, as I said, arguably the most successful company in Nigeria. And thank you very much, sir, for leading that company and the rest of our leaders here. Please, a round of applause. A round of applause. Now, you would recollect that our publication, Facts and Figures, is actually a popular publication. So most times, you call for it, you call us and say, can I have access to that? It's on the website. You want to see some facts and figures. We've done a lot of things have happened, improvements, and we've gone more transparent. We've gone more comfortable with sharing information with you. We have a new edition, which is why we're here, because we're presenting it to you, the media who need that source, who need that information the most. So this is a credible source of information that you're going to be looking at. And there's a lot there. We are open, transparent, and you can trust us as a partner when it comes to the energy industry and sustainable development. So we will do a symbolic presentation of that facts and figures. I would like to call on the Chief Executive of Nigeria LNG, Engineer Adeleye Falade. I'll call on Dr. Sophia Hosfortu to join him as well. Please, you stand right in front, yeah? And then I'll call on Anne-Marie Palmer Ikoko to also join him. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are presenting the 2026 facts and figures on NLNG to you. Please, a round of applause. A round of, that's, I'm not, no, okay, no question and answer time. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Just hold on a bit so that we'll get photography there. Hold on just a little bit. Are we good? Are we good? Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, interestingly, that is the hard copy. Make things easier for you. You can see the screen over there has a barcode which you can scan. You have a barcode, QR barcode on your seats at the moment. So you can also do that and scan and download immediately onto your phone. I understand mobile phones are the in thing now. Everything is on your mobile phone. So you can download that onto your mobile phone right now immediately. Get the facts and figures on NLNG right now. Interesting. Hundreds of stories can come out of there, and I assure you they are all positive stories. All positive stories. And this, regardless of what we're going through, regardless of the challenges that we are facing, we will still overcome. That's where we are. He also mentioned something about the company led fully by Nigerians. That tells you a lot of our can-do spirit. We have that spirit to do whatever we set to achieve. So that is all about. We are just an epitome of the Nigerian can-do spirit. So with that said, I am going to open the floor for interactions, question and answers. The hands are already going up. I am confused. I don't know where to start, but I am going to start. So we're going to do this orderly. I like the fact that your hands are raised up quickly. We're going to go through this as quickly as possible. Please ask your question. Go straight to the question. Introduce yourself, your organization, if you're a publisher or owner or whatever, just tell yourself, give us information so that he knows you. I know Mr. Falade very well, who we fondly called Leye in the office. I know him very well. The moment you tell him your name now, it's going to stick in his head straight. And next time he sees you, he will call you by your name. So I'll start. So I'll start first three. I'll start with Shola Beloi, Adeola Yusuf, and then Olu Phillips. First three, I'll come to you. First three, go straight to the point, sir.
Good morning, sir, and congratulations. And one great thing that made me very happy this morning is the fact that you do mention of train 8, train 9, because that thing has also been agitating my mind for a very long time. Well, last week, because of the confusion I had as regards the supply of LPG, because what we know that LNG supplies at least the bulk of what we have in Nigeria. And at the peak of Iran-US crisis, the price went as far, in some places went as far as 2,000. So, and I was confused. Confused in the sense that if LNG is supplying, why should the price, even though we know that it may be at international price, I mean, maybe it's an international price so, but why should we be experiencing that kind of high rise in terms of price? But the person I want to see, try to explain to me also the reason why. Well, yes, you are supplying, fine, but the demand keeps on going. And perhaps where the government needed to act, it has not acted, so that it has to balance the volume. And how soon now what are you doing? Because we need to, the question will be that, how are we mitigating that kind of issue so that Nigeria don't run into crisis next time the Strait of Hormuz is closed, maybe the Red Sea, the Red Sea is also blocked, and then the LNG, the train 8, sir, I know you say exploration conversation is going on, but we want to know how soon will that concluded? And finally, I used to go to Borneo with sea, through the sea, when the groundbreaking of Train 1, Train 2, then the commissioning, the doses. I will be happy to go along the bridge. Thank you, sir. And I will
Thank you very much, Mr. Bello. Thank you very much for those questions. We'll take the next question so that you just get them and then answer the first three. Adela Yusuf, please.
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity. A question and a clarification. The clarification is important because I understand.
Your name?
My name is Adeola Yusuf.
Yes, organization.
I'm the team lead of Platforms Africa. Okay, so the clarification. In the course of the address, you mentioned the time the NLNG became tax compliant and how much $10 billion. But as a journalist, I think it's important to know which time is that time so that we won't start having different figures or different dates from tomorrow. That's one. Number two, I'm as excited as well because I was there during the groundbreaking of Train 7, and it's so exciting to hear that it has reached 93% completion stage now. Of course, you have read out a lot of success stories, but I want to know: is the last 30 years a just jolly ride to success? If not, what were the challenges that NLNG faced? How were you able to overcome those challenges? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, and then Mr. Phillips.
Yes. All right. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. My name is Olu Phillips, a member of the editorial board of Channels TV at the moment. A bit of an abstract question. Congratulations to Nigeria LNG on what has been presented. I can see all of the glowing figures, numbers, and the excitement among board and staff members. It's good to celebrate those numbers anyways. So I'm a bit concerned. My contemplation would be that some of the achievements that acts like a grandeur for what Donny has become today as a community developed by LNG could also mean, because it's a closed community, as it were. I remember, I think in 2022 or thereabout, sometime in Rwanda, where Nigeria LNG was credited for having a community, first of all, that is safe and rid of malaria, for instance, 100% ring-fenced, and all of that. So, yes, it's good to celebrate the new road that is bringing commuting between town and that place, but that also will introduce a lot of traffic, and that will also introduce a lot of businesses and pressure. I don't know if the company and management is looking at how, because directly or indirectly it's going to have an effect on the community that you have already built that is ring-fenced in certain ways and many ways that stands out as the only community like that in Nigeria. That's one. So something around looking at the pressure that will come with that, because it's going to open up businesses and all of that. Number two would be that I'm glad that you're brutally honest to say that you buy gas. And that's, I think, some misconception somewhere. Some people who are not in this room may not understand that you do not produce the gas. You only refine and get the things, the derivatives from it. So that, I don't want to say that puts you holding the shadow side of the stick, because you do not produce. You have to rely on producers. And if producers continue to declare force majeures and all of that, it means that doesn't mean you're going to throw your hands in the air every time, because your numbers at the end of the day and projections will always be that you're at least 80% every time at the plant level and in terms of feedstock. So are you doing anything in terms of seeing how you can ring-fence production anywhere, maybe tie up some contracts and help? I don't want to use the word backward integration, but something that allows you to be able to remain predictable in your numbers, so that as you each towards 8, 9, 10, as it were, you can be sure that the production side, the supply side of things are not down. The last one would be that I think in 2019 when Qatar, thereabouts, we're in the room here somewhere in Vienna where Qatar had to exit OPEC. And the simple argument was, listen, we have enough gas. We don't need to rely on coming to these meetings every time and to develop. The numbers are scary, 2 metric tons for a 209 proven reserves. Let's not rehearse what's going on in the Middle East and how we may not have taken advantage of that. The third one would be how, like Mr. Shola tried to say, in realistic terms, how this may have jolted us to the point where we say to ourselves, if this opportunity comes around again, Nigeria will be the market hub for the global market. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. I should have warned you about Olu Phillips, sir. Yeah, I see you're writing too much. Thank you. All right, sir, go ahead.
No, thank you very much. Great questions, Mr. Shola Bello. Thanks for your reflection around Trains 8, Trains 9, and they are aspirations, and we need to aspire. We have every right to aspire. What will eventually turn it into bankable opportunities? There are quite a number of things. First is that we need investors who will bring their money and say, I want to invest in it. It's those investors that brought in the money that formed the company. And those investors are not sentimental investors. They are investors that wants to make sure that their money would count. The only of our shareholder that can afford to be sentimental, who is also not sentimental, is the federal government. But the others will tell you, hey, I'm in a business, I'm answerable to shareholders. If you're not able to demonstrate that I can have the kind of return I have elsewhere, my money will go somewhere else. And so there are many things that they will look at. They will look at the reliability of our gas supply. They look at our contracting environment. They look at our respect for the rule of law. All of those come into helping them to say we have a climate that is investable. And that explains why the federal government has been working very hard to make sure that there is continuous gas supply, all those things that are happening to our pipelines, because they are affecting us. They're also affecting our reputation. No serious investor will see all of that and say, I want to go and put my money there. Just let me digress a bit. The oil that we produce in Nigeria today is one of the cheapest to produce worldwide. Why? Because they flow, most of it, under normal reservoir pressure. You don't need to do anything else. But you go to many other countries, you would install submersible pump, you generate your power just to be able to make that oil to flow. So ideally, we should be killing in terms of profits that we're making. But many are still reluctant to come in because of all of these non-technical issues that makes the investment climate challenging. So what we are doing is to be able to demonstrate that those fundamentals are in place, number one. But number two, that in terms of the efficiency of our operation, that we earn the right to grow. What do I mean by that? If you look at what it takes in terms of my unit operating cost to produce per MMBTU, and those investors benchmark it with every other place, they should be able to come to the conclusion, I'm getting better return from NLNG. So which means I take cost out, unnecessary cost. I can't afford just to be flippant about the cost at which we run the business. We don't have control over how much we sell our products because it's not differentiated. We get to the market, everybody is buying LNG is the same price as what the market dictates, but we have control on the cost. We have control on our efficiency. We have control on our discipline. And we have that role to do that. So it's all of that coming together that allows the shareholders to say, you have earned your right to grow, the climate is okay, and you will grow. So we are working on demonstrating all of that, that there is line of sight to the gas, that if we build a plant, invest in building a plant, there is gas that will come into that plant. that gas will be supplied in a very reliable way, and you can be sure that there is a market for it where it's going to be sold. No brainer. And those are the things that we're working to. So I think one of the questions is, when will this happen? It's not also something that happens quickly, but the most important thing is that we have started that conversation. We've actually appointed people within the company that are 100% looking at that right now, and they are working that through. You did talk about, again, the LPG, that the price went up. If 100% of LPG that we produce in Nigeria today comes from our plant, we would have been able to shield from that price increase. But like I mentioned, we only produce about 33%. That's 100% of what we produce. We move from producing 100% to 33%, 100% when we're just doing 70,000 tons. We're now doing 500,000 tons, which in itself is good, because it means that the country is using more of the gas for its own consumption and in order to power its industry. But the gas source that we have continues to get leaner and leaner. And so the quantity of cooking gas we can extract from it is getting smaller and smaller. And part of what we are now looking forward to is when 27 comes on with the additional gas sources that allows us to increase our production by about 50%. And we're looking forward to that. I know that the Honorable Minister of Gas is troubled about it. The presidency is troubled about what went on at that time that price went up. NMPC, NMDPRA, and there were several meetings that were called in order to understand what's broken. Is it in the distribution? Is it in the transportation? Is it because we have shortages, and could we bring more of the cooking gas in? And they responded. That price actually went as high as 2,400 naira per kg. Right now, it's come down significantly lower, and I know they are putting mechanism in place to ensure that that doesn't happen again. So what will we do to mitigate it? I think it's also to just make supplier available much more. Part of what drove that price up is a supply issue. It was a supply issue. There was about 400,000 tons per day that was deficit. As aggregated, we had about 2.1. Demand was about 2.4, 2.5. It was that shortage. And part of what is now being done is to ensure that we don't find ourselves in a situation where we have shortage of supply in the market. That's what drives the price up. If I move on to Mr. Adeola, you asked the question about when we became tax compliant. I need to come back to you on that. I don't have the exact. Do you have that? About 2009. That was when we became, so it was about 10 years after. We can still double check and come back to you just to reconfirm that. But I think that's when it was. I wasn't in the company at that time, so I just need to trust the figure. What challenges have we faced? And you said, has the 30 years been jolly? What challenges have we faced? It hasn't been jolly. You make your bed, you lie on your bed. We've excelled strongly on operational excellence, operational discipline. It's been the bedrock. We're on an island that is remote, and there is practically nothing that we need that we don't have to find a way to make sure that we have. So if you get to Bonny Island and you get to our workshop, it's perhaps the biggest and the best that you ever see in the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. And we needed that for our self-sufficiency. Unlike other companies like ours, that when they get out of their premises, you have the suppliers there, you have manufacturers there. We don't have that here. So we needed to adapt to the circumstance in which we have found ourselves. Things are getting better. NCDMB is compelling local content growth. So we find a number of these things that are happening locally right now. And I think that's getting better and better. But we've had challenges. Our biggest challenge of recent had been gas supply. It has been gas supply. Last year was extremely bad for us on gas supply. In the last 2-3 years, our plant utilization had been around 60%, 59-60%. For a company like ours, that the cost, whether you operate or you don't operate, is quite high, you need to be operating at nothing less than 84, 85% utilization of your plant in order to make sense, if you also understand what I mean. And for us, our aspiration is that we shouldn't be operating at anything less than 90%. So we basically left money on the table. Last year, we had about 19 incursions into our pipeline. Incursions in that people will go to your pipeline, they would damage it, and then we have to shut down, and we'll have to fix that line, and that just limited the gas that we had. But we're grateful to the government security agencies for what they have done. This year, we have had zero. In discussions with the honorable ministers and all the GSAs, you can see renewed effort, increased effort to secure those pipelines and ensure that product and molecule flows. And that has helped us. It has helped us to the point that this year, right now, we're already at 84% year till date in utilization from where we were last year. So we can see the impact of it. Now, the impact of that utilization meant more revenue that goes to the government, more taxes that go to the government, more dividend that goes to the shareholder, more people that are engaged. But it also allows us to do what we like doing best. Because we're a people that what defines us is not just what we're being paid. In fact, it's the least of it. What defines us is that we have a target that we can produce 60,000 tons per day, and every day we tell you we produce 65,000 tons. That's what gets us excited. And when you live to the point where you're not doing 60,000, you were doing 40,000, and when you do that 40,000, people are celebrating it as success. What people didn't realize was I was damaging the psyche of the people working in the company. So we're already getting back to who we are, where we want to be. But we've also had challenges that we have faced in recent times. The biggest of it is gas supply. Thank you very much, Mr. Phillips, for those comments, and you are very correct. There are achievements with the community in itself. We are blessed with Bonny Kingdom where we have operated. And I can say this boldly that is perhaps the model in terms of how communities work with private sector. Loving people, caring people, people who are progressive and also looking for how they can continue to enable the private sectors to do well, recognizing that their histories are tied at the hip. I think they got it right. If you also look at how that community is governed, it's also another model, right from His Majesty the Amanabo and how they distribute it down to the ruling houses. It allows you to go and you can get control of what you need. So it's not just a traditional institution, it's the local government as well. But we've been in that community for, right now, about 47 years, 37 years of operation. A significant number of people that work in our company are from the community. So every year we do mass recruitment, 10% must be from the community. It's an affirmative thing that we do. So we're just running up one right now where we'll be bringing in about 60 people into the company. Hopefully by the end of the year, 6 must come from Bonny community. So what that has done is that they don't just see it as an us versus them. They actually see this as part of this. We are part of this and they are part of us. That definitely would also get challenged as the community becomes more accessible, and we've recognized that. So we've sat down with the local government. We're also having discussions with the traditional institution, and we've set up different teams that are dimensioning what could be the risk and implication of this sudden opening up that is happening in Bonny. From a security point of view, what would be the implication? Because it's a place that has constant power supply, people will likely move there, set up industries there, and then transport it out because there is no barrier to mobility any longer. But what does that do to the power that is currently in Bonny? So all of that we're looking at, and I feel we've come to a couple of conclusions. One of it is that we would need a different or an assisted model for the power generation because we are limited in what we can give. And a community that has been used to getting 24/7 electricity, if they don't get it again, it can become an irritation where you start seeing. So we've started looking at all of that and what we can do in order to manage that. We recognize it, and we're already working at that very much. On the gas supply, it's one we have wrestled with, and we've wrestled with it on how do we secure enough gas to be able to run our plant. Traditionally, there are 3 gas suppliers we have had, and those gas suppliers were affiliates of our shareholders. So it was Shell, it was Total, and it was Ajib, affiliate of ENI. ENI has divested from Ajib now. Shell has divested from SPDC. In fact, I think today we have close to 70-75% of our gas supply that is now coming from outside of the affiliates of our shareholders. While we're working with them to ensure that they also have reliability and uptime, we've expanded the scope, and we're now having gas sales agreement with third-party suppliers. So last year, there were 6 of them that we signed agreement with that will be supplying gas to us outside of these 3. And our intention is to be able to get to the point where we have between 110-115% capacity of what the plant needs to be able to accommodate for when there is an upset that one has to go out. We know that we are not starved, and we continue to work that train. There are a few others right now that we haven't signed any gas sales agreement with, but we're in discussions with them. How can we enable them to flow their gas to us? And what will it take for them to prefer NLNG above other options that they have? So we're actively working that. For Train 7 came with dedicated gas supply opportunities that were identified upstream. In fact, it's a condition precedent. If you don't have line of sight to gas, you won't take final investment decisions. So we already have projects identified that will keep Train 7 full. And it's also one of the conditions that our shareholders have given us, that don't come and talk about Train 8 if you cannot demonstrate where that gas is going to come from. So the team that we have set up is already looking at where do we get that gas from. Having done all of that, which is to improve our robustness, if we still fall into a situation where we're gas insufficient, then we might need to rethink our model. I'm not suggesting that's what we'll do, but we might need to rethink it. I mean, similar to what Dangote Refinery is experiencing, that it says, I have my refinery here, but I'm not getting the crude oil, and he's having to go outside to go and buy his own crude oil. He might get to a point that he might say, I want vertical integration. I run a field, I produce my oil so that it can supply my refinery. We're not yet at that stage, but it's also an option that is on the table. You talked about when Qatar exited OPEC, how has this jolted us to take advantage? I think one of the things that is obvious is you have to have your engine primed, ready at every point in time. The price of oil that was projected last year, Brent, is that it will not go beyond $60 per barrel. Today, it's on the average, year till date, it's about $93, $94 per barrel. Instances have spiked to about 115. So people can see that and say, wow, let's go and start exploring. But sorry, you have missed the wave. Because by the time you take your final investment decision, you need at least 5 years to be able to bring that project on stream. So the person who doesn't have the capacity, like he has the plant and he has the gas sources, he would just be ruining the missed opportunities. Sorry, there's nothing he can do. He would have to wait for the next cycle. But waiting for that next cycle is not folding your hands. It's actually taking the decision, recognizing that we have cycles like this, and the opportunities would favor you when you are ready. So we're getting our existing plant to be in a situation where we can utilize that plant for at least 94-95%. That gives us additional volume to take into the market. Right now, we'll be creaming because we have additional gas to put into the market. Train 7 will give us that opportunity. So we can't afford to be short-term in terms of the opportunities. We must think medium, long-term, but we must stay consistent on our discipline to ensure that when we start it, we follow through And when those opportunities come, we're able to take advantage of it. I think that's our philosophy, and that will continue to drive how we approach these opportunities. If we have moments like this, when it happens, why not? And one of the things, if I may also say, that has happened as a result of the exposure in the Middle East is that a lot of buyers are now looking at diversifying their sources of supply. And much of that focus now is on Africa. If you come to Africa, the most ready is Nigeria. So Nigeria is actually at a point where we can benefit a lot from the opportunities that is being created by either what has happened in Russia or what is happening in the Middle East. And for us, it's the time to invest. So when I say it's time to unleash our capacity, our potential, it's all born out of realizing the vintage position that we are sitting in as a country. Thank you, sir.
That is elaborate. That is very elaborate. Thank you very much, sir. Unfortunately, we have very little time, so I'm just going to take one round, and that will be all. So sorry about that. So I'm just going to take the last 4, like raised up hands right now. Please, if you can, stick to one question, because we don't have much time so that we can close. We have other schedules to meet up with. Please, thank you. So I'll start with you, Soporichi, and then Peter, and then Mr. Azu, and then Wally. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Welcome back. We missed you all this while you were away. I think I took time to listen to your response to question, thinking that it will capture some of the things I had in mind. But they're just, you did a very good job on that. But let me just remind you that Nigeria is also, the internal demand for LNG is also rising in Nigeria. And the virtual pipeline is also the in thing now. People are building plants in very remote places. And we are seeing pockets of modular investors here and there. So as a big player, as a leading player, what is your role in this area? I mean, meeting dumb LPG demand, LNG demand. Another one, you ended your presentation on a note of advocacy, something that sounds like a policy advocacy, that we have actually the need to fast track our consumption of gas. And I also have a history of Nigerian policy somersaults on LNG, dumb versus export. So what actually is prompting this level of advocacy when you have a pipeline of growth plans from, I know that the last president actually approved that you can run as fast as you can. Are we seeing another set of roadblocks in terms of policy? And lastly, because I kind of said that I should run with my questions, most of the things you have given us is your impacts on cutting carbon footprints. But most of these presentations these days, they used to be when you have also give us the impact of footprints on the other side of the environment in terms of conservation. Large plants as you have now have displaced a lot of habitats in where they used to be. And I don't know whether something is still continuing in that area as it used to be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Peter, please.
Okay. Good morning, MD. Good morning. Okay. My name is Peter Uzoho, energy correspondent with This Day Newspapers. First of all, MD, congratulations on your new role. Some of us, didn't have the opportunity of, telling you that before today, but congratulations. Okay, a lot, I've heard a lot, but I want to get an update regarding some NLNG's previous, project. Now, one is LNG, domestic LNG supply. Sometime in 2021, June precisely, so NLNG announced that it was going to start sending LNG, supply NLNG to local market. And they put a figure, 1.1 million metric tons per annum. And the date they gave that we're going to start was July 2022. So what is the state of that, your plan? That's number one. Then number two is on LPG. You've talked about LPG, and you've told us the 500,000 tons that we are doing now currently, and when 37 finally comes on stream, it's going to rise by 250,000 tons. That will be around 750,000 tons. So, but there is a challenge that the company had raised over time. Is around distribution offtake infrastructure that has made you, even the 500,000 tons that you have made available is not being, taken off 100%. So now that you plan to ramp up, so those infrastructure challenge, have you been able to tackle them, or are we still going to be having, product available but no infrastructure to make them get to the market? So for now, so that's the two questions I have now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Peter. He said for now, please let it end. Peter is actually the secretary of the National Energy Correspondents Association at NIEC. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, MD. My name is Azu Arinze. I write for Yes International Magazine. All the other people who asked their questions earlier on, they asked multi-layered questions. I'm going to ensure that my own is just one simple and straight to the point this thing. I want to quote you now. You said Nigeria is a gas country, not an oil company. Back then when we were in school, they would say expatiate. Could you please expatiate? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And then Wale, thank you.
Let me join my other colleagues to congratulate you, MD, and to also congratulate you on these figures. $10 billion in taxes is no mean joke. What the government does about it is another thing. I would like to...
Wale, we haven't met you.
Oh, my name is Adewale Sonyolu, NLNG editor, Sun Newspapers. And again, to appreciate you on being frank, being open with us, especially by reiterating the fact, because I noted it, I think about 5 times, you mentioned about the gas constraint challenges that is impacting your operations. So as a follow-up to what Olu asked, I would like to know, is it not possible that the company considers like a direct equity stakes in gas oil fields to mitigate against some of these disruptions? That is one. Then, secondly, I know sometime in 2022, the company declared a force majeure as a result of attacks on your pipelines and vandalism. And as at May 2026, I'm aware that force majeure on export is still in place. So this is July. Is the force majeure still in place? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, another set of very brilliant questions. I'll try and respond to them. If I miss anything, please let me know. It's not because I don't want to. We do have a project already working around the floating LNG. Around the domestic LNG. And that's very much in play. It's very much, I think that's a short answer. It is to the extent that we've been having engagement with our board around bringing it also to fruition. But like many of these kind of projects, they take years. But we haven't jettisoned that. That's still very much active. It's still very much live. There are people who are working on it. I mean, that speaks to the question of domestic LNG supply. Can we fast-track construction? There is internal demand that is rising. Short answer is yes, we do. And I think it was Peter that also asked for an update on that, but you are much more specific, and I'll come to that when I respond to the rest. Is there a policy roadblock? And is that why there is advocacy? No, we haven't seen any policy roadblock, but it's important to continue to remind ourselves, because sometimes you just forget certain things, and there are too many things that are being dealt with in the country that you need to be reminded of some of the things that are critical. So we have a responsibility to talk about what is needed to unlock further the economic prosperity of the nation. So it's not because we encountered a policy roadblock, no. There was also the question around the carbon footprint. We're cutting it, what are we doing? We're still doing a lot.
Sorry, I'm thinking you already gave us that. What about conservation?
The conservation is on. So our biggest conservation is the Finima Nature Park. And that Finima Nature Park, we continue to grow it. I don't have the exact figure in terms of the carbon sink that it has given us, but it is massive. And I don't know how many of us have ever had the opportunity of visiting that Finima Nature Park. But take it as an open invitation from me for you to visit it on the island. It's going to change your thoughts and your perspective completely. I think it's also been declared a in the process of getting that designated as a Ramsar site for wetlands globally. So we still have it. On the energy transition, what is also recognized is that you cannot fully eliminate, so you will have to depend on things like zinc, and that's something that we're already working on. Every year, we still continue to plant trees just to make sure that we are contributing to our ability to retain and to absorb carbon as part of our energy transition plans. But beyond that, there are technical solutions we're also working. So we're measuring our emissions, and it's not just the emissions that come from our carbon. We're also measuring the methane. Today, we've achieved the gold standard with respect to carbon reporting. All our stacks where we have emission sources are known, they are quantified. We have forward-looking infrared camera that enables us to identify where we even have fugitive emissions that your detectors are not able to pick it up. But because of the power of the forward-looking infrared camera, we can see those emissions, and it allows us to be able to intervene. We're looking at opportunity to explore carbon capture and storage, and we're currently in conversation with NUPRC in getting some data that allows us to identify location for where we can have the carbon sequestered into. So all of that is currently going on right now. We are not letting go on that. We continue to measure the emission that comes from our operation. Beyond the intention of moving on net zero, the market is moving to the point right now where it's also demanding less and less emission from the product that you make. And where you're not able to demonstrate that, the price of your product goes up. So it's even in our own interest to make sure that we follow this through. And we've set a target of 2040 when we would achieve that. So that's very much in progress and is very much in flight. So moving back to the question around the DLNG supply, so I said, yes, that's already in work. That's progressing according to the opportunity realization process. It hasn't changed from the 1.1 MTPA that was declared at that point in time. We are behind on schedule, but we're still working on it. Train 7 that I spoke about, we're also behind on it. There are quite a number of things, but we haven't abandoned that particular desire and aspiration of ours. Let me rephrase your conclusion on the offtake capability and the offtake infrastructure on LPG. That's not a limitation for us. There is a deficit on infrastructure generally when it comes to the industry. But that hasn't played out to the point where our products are not lifted. No. We sell all of our products. We actually have more demand than we're able to sell. Recently, we had to get one of the big four consulting firms to do an assessment of all our off-takers, looking at things like, do you have your storage facilities? How much are you able to reach at retail level? And all of that. And what we discovered was that we have more than we're able to satisfy. So we had to introduce a ranked order and give priority to off-takers that have the ability and the network to be able to get to retailers. Because what we found out is that a number of people would take products, they will put it in their terminal, and they are part of those that have created the artificial scarcity that has led to the price increase. So preference for us is not those kind of people, but it's those that can supply directly to the retailers. When the product was being sold at 2,400 in the market, guess how much they were lifting it from us? It was between 800 and 900 per kg. NMDPRA recommendation was that by the time you put in transportation cost and all other things, they shouldn't be selling more than 1,000, 1,100, 1,200. So there's also some distortion that happened on the sales side, which I know the regulators are working on right now to gain control of it. But coming back to the comment that you made, our challenge was not that people were not able to take the product. Every of the cooking gas that we made, we had buyers. There is infrastructure deficit, but it hasn't played itself to the point where we become stranded with the product that we have made. No, we haven't seen it to that extent. Yes, gas versus oil, expatiate. We're truly a gas country, and that statement is from the context of the length of time and the volume of those resources that we have for us to be able to exploit it till the end. I think for the oil, and please don't quote me, in terms of our reserve, I think it's about 30-something billion, I'm not too sure, but in terms of the number of years that is going to last us, is far shorter than what the gas we have will last us. And there is hardly anywhere you drill in Nigeria today that you don't find gas. It's not the same with oil. You get to some reservoirs and you find out that it's a dry reservoir. You actually find out that it's a gas well. And what people then tend to do is they just seal it. No, we're not looking for gas, we're looking for oil. But everywhere across most part of the country, we have gas. Much more than we have oil. And we have it not just in small number, we have it in huge number. The challenge we have with our gas is that a significant part of that 290 CF is what you call stranded gas. Stranded because we don't have the infrastructure to connect them from where those gas deposits are and bring them to places where people can access it, industry can access it. And that's why you have expression for things like the floating LNG, where they can go nearer to where you have those gas reservoirs, and what they need in terms of infrastructure to connect to it is not that much compared to if you have to bring it all the way to other states. So we're actually a gas country. In terms of potentials, in terms of the opportunity, we're much more of a gas country than an oil country. And the last question, Mr. Wale, it's, should we consider a direct equity state in the oil fields? It's not core to our business model. And our shareholders are quite clear, stay core. Core for us is your production of your gas, your liquefying of the gas, and the transportation of the gas. Like I said earlier on, if it gets to a point that that business model gets really threatened and is no longer viable, perhaps then that becomes a consideration. But as of today, the mandate we have is to stay core because there's a lot that can be done there. And if we start moving even into those places, then maybe we will not allow others to participate in the entire value chain. So we just want to stay and allow some other people to explore. But if it undermines us, we would have a reconsideration. You asked the question about the force measure. It's still in place. It's still in place. We are having conversations around what it will take for us to lift it, but as of today, it's still in place. And that conversation is an ongoing conversation. It's very clear what constitutes the condition for you to go on force majeure. We haven't moved out of it, and in order for you to move out of it, you must do it in a way that is sustainable and shows that you can actually exit it. So it's not that today I have 100% gas supply, tomorrow I have 60%, but I've declared that I'm out of it. Is it sustainable? Those are all things that have been looked at to allow us to make that decision. But as of today, we're still in force majeure.
All right. Wow, a round of applause, please. I can say that all of you are now LNG experts. Interestingly, this is, we constantly have engagements within the organization, so this is kind of interaction that goes on. We're very familiar with these stories, and we're grateful that we found this moment to share this with you. Most of the things he said, Finima Nature Park, the details about Finima Nature Park, the details about our payment for tax, and dividends and everything, interestingly, are all in the facts and figures. They're all there, please. So please open the facts and figures. You probably just even get all those answers to those correct figures, because he said that one he would get back to you. You probably find it in there. They're in facts and figures. So just open it and you'll see all the information you can get there. Wow. Long day spent, or should I say long morning spent. I can see you're fagged out. Are you fagged out, sir? All right. I'll rescue you. So we'll just go straight to wrap up and closing, and that will be done by Anne-Marie Palma-Ikuku, please. Anne-Marie.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the leadership team here present, I want to express our very deep gratitude to those of you who are here today. I see Naik, very well represented. I see Gokop, very well represented. I see Exco of the Guild of Editors, very well represented. She got here very early. I see our health correspondents. I see judiciary. I see maritime. Thank you so much. Your professionalism and the questions you've asked today, as well as your commitments to factual reporting, strengthens the public trust we work hard to earn. As always, we do not take what you do for granted. So this is saying thank you. Thank you again for your support. I can confidently describe our relationship, and you will agree with me, our long-standing relationship that it's been rewarding, mutually rewarding. Over the years, we have built a partnership founded on trusts, professionalism, and the shared commitments, and we deeply appreciate your commitment to nurturing it. We value the role you play, and recognize the efforts you continue to make in promoting informed public discourse. And as partners, we remain committed to strengthening this relationship through open communication and engagements such as this. I would also like to reiterate that we remain fully committed to meeting your information needs. The facts and figures should be your go-to points all the time before you reach out to Elkanah or to Iwo or to myself. But the facts and figures, you have everything in there. So make it your go-to points. We are confident that as we've unveiled this, you will find your answers there. And we encourage you to take the time to review it carefully. And should you require any clarification or additional information, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We will always be pleased to assist. With this, I say thank you so much. Thank you. You've all come from very far, we know, but thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. So I don't have anything else to say than to introduce myself. My name is Elkanah. My name is Elkanah Chawi, Head of Public Relations. Thank you very much for coming, friends, and you always remain friends and family. Thank you very much. Goodbye. I think there's refreshments right outside. Please just stay back to have refreshments. Thank you very much. Thank you.